Before getting into this review of Prometheus, I just want to give a deep, heartfelt thanks to Mr. Ridley Scott, the director of Prometheus. I just want to thank you, Mr. Scott, for taking sci-fi horror films back, at least in this case, to a period in the genre that relied on atmosphere, likable characters, and an underplayed score to really ramp up the fear, the thrills, and overall just the ambiance of this particular kind of cinema that we haven't had for at least 30 years, since he made the original Alien. And Prometheus really kind of surprised me in a period in cinema where I'm not really surprised often when I go to see a movie. Oftentimes I know exactly what to expect in terms of how the film's going to be made, what the film's going to be like, what the story's going to be. You know, such things as that, especially with horror films these days. Maybe not so much sci-fi movies, but like, you know, horror movies are just all the same crap these days. It's either ghosts, psychopaths, slashers, or vampires. That's all there is these days, and it's all the same story, just done in different ways. I mean, there are exceptions, of course, but more often than not, you get the same movie with different kind of aspects. Prometheus, again, takes the genre back to the time of the original Alien, which became a huge pop culture phenomenon and inspired, you know, films like it for several decades afterwards. That's really part of why Prometheus really, really impressed me and spoke to me in a way that that a horror movie hasn't done in a very, very long time. I mean, Prometheus, again, it took itself back to a period in horror films and science fiction films, which is potentially my favorite of both those two, which is, you know, the late 70s, early 80s. I mean, there's stuff before that and stuff after that that's also great, but that particular period in time is where both genres kind of got mixed and then got revolutionized with stuff like Star Wars, Planet of the Apes, you know, such things as that. And, you know, Superman and other things that I'm not going to list. But Prometheus was very much so in that style, but it wasn't just rehash. It wasn't just those kind of movies again with the same story. No. This was supposed to be a set prequel to Alien. And that was all it was intended to be. Was just set up the original Alien film. How the ship got there and what the alien is. Prometheus takes place in the Alien universe, but it isn't an Alien prequel in that its only goal isn't to just set up the 1979 movie. No. Prometheus tells a very engaging, very interesting standalone science fiction story that also just happens to set up the events of the original Alien. Now, I don't want to particularly spoil these elements that set up the original Alien or how it ties into the Alien universe. I think you guys would like to see that unfold on the big screen. That's part of why I didn't watch any reviews before I went to see it. But I can guarantee you with this review, I'm not going to spoil anything. I just want to explain that this movie kicks ass. Potentially that's a poor choice of words, but whatever. It's a great movie. I'm just going to come out and say it right now. Prometheus is a fantastic movie. I was very, very surprised. I thought it was going to be good, but not this good. Wow. Really what impressed me going, after I finally watched the whole thing, you know, before even go, you know, when I went into it, I expected to like it, but not like it as much as I ended up liking it. I said a lot of likes there. Prometheus, told a really solid standalone story, and that really impressed me. I didn't expect that. Again, I just expected this to set up the original Alien. And again, it did that, but it also did something else on top of it. It told this really, really kind of scary, thought-provoking, unique story that perhaps has been done before in literature, and it's been done before in film a couple times, but not really anything that jumps to my mind, and it felt very original in the way that it was done. And that's the origin of humans. Where do we come from? Why do we exist? And Prometheus has these questions at the heart of its story, and those driving questions make this a very interesting film. Thought-provoking, somewhat ambitious, and again, I mean, sci-fi movies have had these questions at their heart for, you know, a long time now. The original 2001 film had that at the heart of its film and theme. But Prometheus does it in a horror way. And the ultimate revelation is extremely scary. And it's very impactful on the viewer to think that this is why we're here. And this is how we came to be. And it's very scary. The film is gorgeous, and the overall look adds to the theme. Everything in Prometheus just mixes into one beautiful piece. The special effects that make all this happen are amazing. I haven't seen this good CG in a long time. Rise of the Planet of the Apes was very good, but this even surpassed that. This was just fantastic. Same studio, I know, but still, this was even better than that. But and that was also very impressive. But this was like. You could barely tell it was CG. Particularly on the creatures. The creatures looked amazing. And not all of them were CGI, but most of them were. It's very hard for me to talk about this movie without spoilers, because there's so much that happens in it that could spoil your experience of liking it the way I liked it, and being as surprised by it as I was. Because this movie just shocked me in how fantastic it was. Again, the thing that makes this so impressive is the standalone story and the way the visuals tell that story. Like the original Alien, it doesn't really rely on a lot of extra dialogue to tell its story and tell us what's happening. It relies a lot on what's going on in front of your eyes. And it's strange because a lot of the times the imagery is so scary or so grotesque that you'll either want to turn away or be so gripped by it that you want to keep watching. The person I went to go see the movie with, Nicola, was oftentimes very frightened by it and had to turn away. Not that that's criticism, that's great, since I haven't seen a movie that scary in a very long time, and it ultimately adds up to how visually impressive this movie is. And I don't know, it's just a movie like this hasn't been made in a very long time, and I think seeing Prometheus is enough for that. And hopefully Prometheus will start another reign of these sci-fi horror films that we had that started with Alien. Hopefully Prometheus will start that again. You know, overall the story very much so impressed me. I really liked the characters. I mean, they were just very likable. They echo the original Alien in their characterizations and their particular roles. Again, we have a strong female character who leads kind of the whole cast. With Dr. Shaw, I think her name is, if I'm correct. Then right behind her we have her love interest. I think his name's Holloway, if I'm not mistaken. And then we have a lot of likable characters beyond that. It's a pretty big cast, and I was surprised how much of them got decent screen time and enough dialogue to really bring them to life and give them a purpose, and also just make them likable. So you cared about what happened to them, and ultimately that also adds into the scare factor. Prometheus doesn't just rely on the gore to scare the audience. It relies on these likable characters being affected by these scary events. Just the atmosphere of walking down an alien ship. And this huge, scary complex with these likable characters who have never been there before, and just the spooky atmosphere it's got. It's very effective, and again, it echoes the original Alien. So I don't know what else I can really say without spoiling it. Overall, Prometheus was a fantastic movie. I highly recommend it. If you haven't already seen it, you should definitely check it out. We haven't seen a movie like this in a very long time, and I don't know if we're going to get another one like this again. The story's fantastic. The acting's really good. The script is well written. The effects are fantastic, stellar. Another thing that really impressed me was the soundtrack. As I said earlier with the original, when I was talking about the original Alien and the elements that made up that film and films of that period, I said that it had an underplayed score, and Prometheus has that as well. And at points, it's both beautiful, and at some points, it's frightening and thrilling and really gets your blood going, which also echoes the original Alien. There's this particular theme that plays that is just stuck in my head, and it's overall, it's beautiful, and I think it's the film's main theme, if I'm not mistaken, and it overall echoes what the film's trying to achieve with this whole epic ambiance of we're dealing with the creation of humanity here. And overall, it's got great themes as well to go along with the great visuals, the great story, the great characters. Everything just comes together in Prometheus to form something fantastic. I'm going to give Prometheus a 5 out of 5. Basically, everything worked for me. The alien setup was really strong. I was kind of worried that it was either going to do too much of it or too little of it. In my opinion, it did the perfect amount to set up the original Alien, but also not too much where it didn't tell its own good standalone story and stand up on its own merits. So great movie in that regard, and also great movie in telling its own standalone story, of course. So 5 out of 5. Check it out. It's the scariest movie I've seen in a very long time. So definitely check it out while you can still see it in theaters. The sound alone and the ambiance of seeing it on the big screen is worth the price of admission. So check out Prometheus, and thank you guys for watching. I'm Zazubaar, and I'm signing out.